Are you a current or future physician assistant wanting to learn more about finances? Then join me on this journey to become a PA the FI way. Hi, my name is Kat, and I'm a practicing certified physician assistant who will be your host. It took me 5 years after I started practicing medicine as a PA to thoroughly dive into my personal finances after I discovered the concept of financial independence. I want to use what I have learned to help you avoid some of the financial mistakes that I have made while sharing some of the financial wins that I have had along the way. Join me as we discuss financial strategies to guide you to becoming a physician assistant on the way to financial independence. Welcome back, everyone, to the PA the FI Way podcast. I'm your host, Kat, and it's actually been a while since I've had a guest on the show. So for today's episode, I am so excited to have Fedna on the show. Fedna and I actually met at AAPA back in May of this year. And talking to Fedna, she was just really inspiring, and I knew I had to have her on the show. So welcome to the show, Fedna.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so excited that we connected, and I'm glad to be here.
I'm really excited about how we're going to talk about your profession as a traveling PA. And before we dive into some of those questions, could you share a bit about yourself for the listeners?
Yes. So my name is Fedna Morency, and I am a graduate of the Rutgers PA program. I graduated 2014. I've been practicing in orthopedic surgery since I was doing staffing jobs or permanent jobs for 3 years before I started traveling. So that's where I'm at. And I've been all over, and I live just about on each coast.
Awesome. And what do you like most about ortho as a specialty?
I like that I can actually see the difference I'm making. For me, you can't function, you can't walk, but we can talk about what is the root cause of that, and come up with a plan. And when you come back to follow up, I can actually see the progress. Or, you have a broken bone, you can't walk. We can fix that for you. We can get you walking. So I really, really enjoy that. You just don't have an appreciation of just regular daily activities. Like, you need your hand. Like, if you cannot use your hand, wow, it's like I can't carry anything. It's hard for me to eat. It's hard for me to work. So it's just like you get to see how the patient did not appreciate having this function. But when they lose it, you get to see, wow, like I never thought about this. But when you help them regain their function, you help them regain their quality of life and what they're able to do, what they enjoy doing, and what they need to do, which is work and to support for their families. I feel good about that. I feel like I'm making a difference.
Great. I've had a few ortho injuries myself over the years. So when I broke my wrist one time, tore my ACL another time, it was definitely situations that made me feel as though I missed the use of those extremities, and can definitely find value in the healing process, the patience required for all of that, the physical therapy. And a lot of people who work in ortho do seem to say as though they like that hands-on day-to-day work where they can feel as though they're actually fixing someone and see that tangible improvement overall with time with people. So it sounds like a lot of people like ortho for that reason.
Yes. And I think I realized that I wasn't going to go into internal medicine during my rotation. And what I liked it, I like family medicine and cardiology, but what really pushed me towards ortho was, I think in rotation, I think we had a guy with pancreatitis, and he was 40 years old. His mother was in the room, and she just couldn't figure out what was going on with him. She's like, all I do is buy him beer all the time. Like, what's going on? I'm like, that's the problem right there. Environmental and family. I can't fix that.
Yeah.
They have to do the work. So I'm like, yep, I was sold.
Nice. And because this is a finance podcast for PAs, I'm curious, when did you first learn about the concept of financial independence, and what drew you to that concept?
It was almost like I was actively learning about the process, but I didn't have a phrase for it.
Sure.
But even before I went to PA school, I had this idea in my head that I am going to make enough money within 10 years of being a PA so that I can work part time. When I became a PA, it progressed into we need to be work optional. So I had a plan. However, when I became a PA, when I saw how much I was getting taxed, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm single. I help with a family. I make close to six figure, my first job. Why am I getting taxed so much? I'm like, I will never be able to pay off my student loans and actually, you know, live the dream that I wanted to live. I'm like, how are we going to do this? So I think my first year and a half, I had my first job. The second year, my second job was when I kind of like figured out, I can actually work a little bit less and make a little bit more because it was a joint venture. I hate to say it, but it is what it is. It was a process and the schedule was not really concrete. So when I was done with the OR and I didn't have much to do, I went home, but I still got paid for my 40 hours of work. But that week I did not necessarily work 40 hours. Now that didn't last for long as they were trying to build out the program, but I tend to catch on to certain concepts fast. I'm like, oh, this is great. I like this. How can we do this? And to be quite frank with you, that joint venture folded about maybe a year of getting there. It folded and I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, I want stability. I want to have a family. Like, this is my dream. I don't want to jump from job to job. And at that particular time, the OR was going under some changes and they hired like an outsider to come and like lit some fire under the butts of those people who was not doing what they need to do.
Sure.
So that person they hired was a nurse and thank God, like I like to talk to people, just say, hey, how you doing? How did you end up here? I had a conversation with this nurse and she is the one who told me about traveling nurses. I'm like, wow, how do you do that? Then she started to tell me that PAs travel, physicians travel. And this was back, I want to say 2017.
Okay.
So way before COVID. So she's like giving me knowledge. So as we found out that the practice was folding and they gave everybody a 60-day notice out of nowhere. As a PA, we know it takes longer than that to find something you like, and get credentialed. So I'm like, man, how am I going to do this? I was stressing. I didn't have much financial support. I was the breadwinner. It was very, very stressful. So she gave me a little bit of knowledge. I started to go on Google and I was like, while I was still interviewing for permanent jobs, I started to look, traveling gigs and I saw some companies there and I reached out to them and some of them would tell me, it was going to take a while for me to get a license because a lot of these gigs, they're typically not in your state. Like, listen, I need a job. I got student loans. I got bills to pay. Like, who can get me the license first so I can get working? So once one person told me 2 months, we can get you licensed and started, I was sold. I'm like, all right, let's get it started. But I was a newbie in the game. I had nobody to look for, no PAs that I knew who was doing this. And I wasn't really like networking a lot because I felt like I was still fresh. I was under 3 years of being a PA, still trying to learn so many things. So my head was in the books a lot. And when it wasn't in the books, I was trying to find things to release the mental stress. So once I started, I'll go ahead and fast forward. Once I started working as a travel PA, the first gig I had was in Minnesota, 2018. So the conversations with the nurse and the joint venture folding was in 2017. So I was looking for a job August and September. They told me 2 months. I'm like, great, we can get something the end of the year. But of course, that wasn't the truth. I think they were just hoping it'll go through. So I really didn't start until January. So I didn't work for like 5 months. I was stressing, breaking out. I stopped paying my student loans for 5 months. Prior to that, I was like on a roll. I was making these monthly payments. I saw it going down, by 10 years, it'll be paid off. So I was disappointed that 5 months I wasn't paying my student loans. So when I started working, I started to save my money. Fast forward to January, I'm now working in Minnesota. My housing is paid for. My transportation is paid for. I just got to collect my money. But back home in Jersey, I had an apartment, I had a car, I had responsibilities. And once that started happening, I'm like, all right, I got to pay things back home. And some of the setups of these facilities that I travel to, they really try to make it attractive for somebody to leave their homes. For example, in Minnesota, they had a physician's lounge, not like the ones I saw in Jersey where there's nothing in there, maybe some fruits if you're lucky. But they had like a physician's lounge where they had hot sandwiches. They had a cooler where you get your pretzels and avocado dips pre-made for you. They had a freezer with ice cream, and there was hot lunch being served to you daily. First come, first serve. But still, I'm like, if I didn't want to eat breakfast at home, I didn't have to. Lunch was already there for me. So there was a lot of, there was just a lot of bonuses and benefits that I saw. I just started to acknowledge some of these things. I'm like, wow, this really exists. And again, sometimes I did not even, like I have 35 hours of work. But Minnesota is also different from the East Coast. And that's where I started to learn about what people value. East Coast, go, go, go. You working. It's just the way of life. That's what you know. In Minnesota, they're laid back. They value family time. They have like 10 kids. So it wasn't about work, 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 work. They shut down for lunch. So I was being exposed to a way of life that I was not accustomed to. So it was wonderful that I am getting to see the country, and I get to see different cultures and see what different people appreciate. I was there for 7 months. They were trying to get like a permanent PA. In the meantime, they were interviewing a lot of people, and they just couldn't find anybody. But I was supposed to be there, I think, for 3 months or 6 months. I can't remember. But at one point, they came to me. They were like, "Man, Fedna, like we just can't find anybody. But you are like the perfect fit. Do you want to stay here?" I'm like, I want to go home at some point because my family's back home.
Yeah.
But they say I can stay as long as I want to. So I did it for 7 months. I was getting a little bit homesick. So I did it for 7 months. And to be honest with you, one of the reasons why I tell people this chose me, I didn't choose it, it chose me. Because I had a wedding to go to. I was a bridesmaid in my friend's wedding in April. So I had to leave for a week and go back to Jersey and do my bridesmaid's duties. And when I was there, I set up some interviews. I was still trying to go back because that's what I was familiar with. I'm trying to go back to permanent jobs because that's all I know. So I go back and I interview. Every permanent job I interview, it got shut down. It got shut down. The doors were closing because there was bigger for me. It was much more. I was in the exploration phase, but that's okay because 7 years later, here I am. So doing these permanent job interviews, just shutting down. And I remember at an AAPA conference, I met a locums agency, and I took their card, and that was in 2016, matter of fact. I took their card. Somehow they came to mind. What I remembered about them is that they offered benefits.
Sure.
They offered W-2, 401ks, the whole nine. And my first locum gigs, they had benefits. But again, that's all I knew. I knew nothing about 1099. I knew W-2. So when I got the gig, I'm like, all right, we're going to Minnesota. We got benefits. We're good. So as these permanent jobs I interviewed for was shutting down, I thought of the agency I met back in 2016. I couldn't find a car. So I'm scrambling. I'm Googling. I'm like, who were they? Who were they? Finally reached out to them, spoke with Court Beckman, one of the best recruiters ever. At that time, he was with CT Assist. I connected with them, and the rest is history. I continued to do locums after my first gig. Matter of fact, after my first gig, it wasn't until like 3 months later till I started working. So that's where I'm like, oh, I can have break, have enough money to survive, and then start working. This is great. So then I just I just kept the ball rolling. I'm like, we're just gonna roll with the punches because you try to go back to what was familiar, but nothing grows in comfort.
Right.
You want to go back because it's familiar. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable and learn along the way so that you can have something to give back and teach your peers about what's really going on and the opportunities that they can create for themselves,
Yeah.
you know? And that's when it all started.
That's awesome. It sounds like it was a journey that was meant to be for you. And that sounds like you've really found your niche overall. And you definitely touched on some of this already. But when you are looking for travel assignments, do you usually work with certain agencies or recruiters in general? How do you find them? Do you find them through groups online? Do you find them just, like you said, through Google search? Do you have your list of a few top favorite ones? How does that
Mhm.
work?
Oh, what a great question you have. Things have changed since COVID, right? Because people were getting exposed to the locums, at least for the PA profession, when COVID happened. Prior to that, I networked. That's how I found out, right? I networked with the nurse. She can tell me a lot more. After I got some information from her, I just went on Google, started looking for things. These agencies will find you, okay? Once you go on Google,
Sure.
you put your information out there, they'll find you. Nowadays, you ain't got to do much search. They're looking for you. They're in your
Hmm.
emails, they're on LinkedIn, they're on Google, they're on Instagram, they are on Indeed, they are on YouTube. Just put the keyword in baby and they'll come to you. That's all. Keyword locum tenens travel PA. They're there. They'll find you.
There you go.
What I want to say is I like to practice building bridges and not burning them. We don't have to be friends. We can be associates. We can be comrades. So I just keep the door open. There may be a recruiter with a certain agency that I don't necessarily, like or had a bad experience with, but I like to keep the door open. You just never know where people are going to go, how things are going to change. So that's what I do. I don't say no. I don't completely shut the door. I just like to keep the door open because I like to network. All right. Things are always changing and we have to keep that in mind. So, yeah, that's what I do.
That's great advice. Networking is key to find a job, even if it's not a traveling role. So we talked a little bit about this already, but what are some of your absolute favorite things about being a traveling PA?
Whew, the people. It's always the people. No matter where you go, it's about who you work with. I remember I work at Yale. I was there for a long time to the point where they asked me to stay permanently. I'm like, how can I? This traveling gig is too good. I work with some amazing PAs and amazing residents. And I was with the orthopedic trauma department, and I spent a lot of time with them, a lot. I was with the residents a lot. I went to the sawbones with them. I went when the reps would have dinners. I went there with them. A lot of the lectures. So I spent a lot of times with the residents, more so than the PAs, and I actually built like longtime friendships with them. They're my friends. I still talk to them. It's absolutely the people. You network, you build friendships. I just cannot express enough how important it is to not just network, but me personally, I think, as I told you before, I'm an investor, but what I enjoy investing in is I enjoy investing in people. So, yeah, it's the people and the culture and the food.
I love the food in there too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so true that social connections have so many different benefits for you as well. So, meeting new people and learning about them, learning about the different cultures throughout the different states, like you mentioned too, all of that seem like really great benefits.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, what are some of the challenges that you have found working as a traveling PA?
Ugh, my goodness. The list can go on and on. Matter of fact, I made a list because it is the challenges that you run into as a traveling PA. But me as a Black woman, it has to be my hair, especially working in rural communities. The last place I work at, the population was zero point 0.7 Black,
Wow.
right? That means that you're not going to get a hairdresser. Hair is very, very important, in the Black culture. So that is one of the biggest challenges for me personally. Other stuff that most PAs, all PAs are going to find challenging is EHR.
Yep.
There are levels to Epic, guys. There are levels to this. So if you're spoiled at a big hospital system, you may get the minimal at a different system that does not have the resources or the funds.
Sure.
Or learning a new system within a very short period of time, having like a few hours to just learn it. So that's extremely challenging. And let me see what else. You guys are going to have to check out that list I made. I'm trying to think off the top of my head right now, but I would say the EHR is definitely one of them for sure. Other things that are challenging is finding flights. If you go to a small rural community, sometimes these flights are notorious for canceling or being late. So sometimes you have no way of escaping. People can't come in, you can't get out. So flights can be a little bit tricky. Yeah, I would probably say, those are some of my top threes.
Yeah, those all sound challenging to navigate. And when those challenges come up, there can be different things they have to do to try to mediate them and be flexible. Sounds like you have to be to succeed with this.
You definitely have to do it. I mean, the EHR is everything, Are you spending too much time on this new EHR as opposed to the patient, paying attention to the patient? So that for me is one of the biggest for everybody.
Yeah. And you mentioned a little bit about W-2 roles, 1099 roles. Can you clarify, are the majority of these roles 1099 or W-2, or does it just completely depend, or is it about 50-50? How would you say it usually is for these types of roles?
Yeah, there are different agencies that are known for being W-2. Matter of fact, the first locums company to ever start locums was CHG or Comp Health. They started out with nurses and they are known as a W-2. They have a sister company, Weatherby, that's a W-2 as well. And so it's not 50-50 for sure. And it's up to you. Where are you in life? And what do you want? You know how to capitalize on 1099? Or are you somewhere it's like, I need more health insurance, like guaranteed and 401k? So the good thing is that you have options. You don't have to just say, I'm going to do this. Like you have options. So, but yeah, I definitely see more 1099 and W-2s.
Okay. And do you tend to stick with W-2s or do you sometimes go back and forth between them?
Again, excellent question, excellent point. When I first started this, I had no knowledge of this at all. I only knew what I knew. I only knew the W-2, which was why that company that I first worked with was W-2. That's what I went with. I'm like, I'm comfortable. I need it. I need the insurance. I like having a 401k for sure. So I did that up until 2022 was the time I'm like, I'm going to go all 1099. And that's what I decided to do as I learn more and continue to learn more. It's really, it's not just like in the PA world, like in any kind of working environment, any position, there's the option, the W-2 or the 1099. But yeah, I've stepped away from W-2 completely and just did 1099. And if anybody is listening to this, if you have any hesitation, we know we got Google and stuff, but to search more information about it. But let me say this to you. Sometimes we block our blessings because we stay with the familiar and we accept less, then you have no room to receive more. And if you're afraid, I need you to do it afraid. a little bit of fear is actually good.
Yeah, my current colleague and friend, we transitioned into our telepsych role together, which was going from W-2 to 1099. So it was really nice to be able to do that process together and research it. And it can seem overwhelming. And we were definitely stuck in analysis paralysis for a while, trying to decide, is this a good fit or not? And it was a growth period. It definitely took some time to build our panels and all of that, but there have been a lot of good things that have come out of it too.
Absolutely. And I love it. And that's an excellent point, like the analysis paralysis. Sometimes we'll be stuck in there for too long and we don't want to move on.
For sure. And I'm curious, with these types of roles and assignments, are you able to negotiate a lot of things, not just the pay, but things like hours, days of the week you're working, length of your contract, reimbursement for things like housing or meals or things like that?
You have all these good questions. Let me just say this. Everything is negotiable in life, okay? It
Yep.
just depends on, you have to have your mind made up that if it's not for you, you're going to walk away. Again, you can't settle and expect to receive more. Like, you're settling. So yeah, you're not going to get more because you've already like set the tone for that. So a lot of things are negotiable, but there's a lot of agencies that's not going to do it. Because why? There's other people that's willing to accept less. This is why, as a profession, we just can't be saying yes to everything because we ruin it for ourselves. Some people will be like, I'm gonna do this since I'm gonna go ahead and get this $10 less because the next person is too much for them, but this is enough for me. I don't know about you guys, it's never enough. You got to find ways to level up. When you're comfortable, that means it's time to level up. But most things, I tell everybody, just in general, most of everything is negotiable in life. There's going to be some agencies, they're not going to budge. It is what it is. You have to decide where you are in life, what's going on with your family. Can you take this? Or do you have to take it? Do you need to take it? There's a lot of different scenarios, whichever way can go. You may be in a position where you just need a job right now for the moment for 3 months because you have like some emergencies. Some things can be temporary, but just don't stay there. Don't get too comfortable. But if you are in a place where, nope, I won't do it, I just won't, then don't do it. So it's up to you what you decide to do. But I encourage you, do not settle for less because you close the door to receiving more.
For sure. It's all about knowing your value, knowing your worth,
Yes, knowing your
and
worth.
being okay to speak up for yourself, right?
You have to, which is so hard. It's hard when you're in the moment in front of people to just do it.
Yeah. I'm curious, since you are traveling a lot in this role, clearly, where do you stay for these assignments?
Oh, man, a lot of different places. I've been to an assignment once where they had no place for me to stay and nobody told me anything. And when I said there was no place for me to stay, I'll be like at a hotel, for a few weeks thinking I'm going to look at an Airbnb. I look at these Airbnbs, I'm like, that is not safe. There is no way I can absolutely stay there. When you go to some of these places, they're so remote, they have no competition. Nothing is updated because they have no competition. Like, why? Why would they spend money, to make something better for you guys, for the community? Capitalism, okay? They're not trying to do that. So, it's usually like a hotel or an Airbnb. I usually aim for a suite because I like a kitchenette. Yeah.
Nice. And with these roles, especially the 1099 roles, you're having to track all of your business expenses for taxes and write-offs and deductions and things like that. Do you have any certain tips that you like to share with how you do that, how you stay on track for that?
Yes. So there are so many apps out there, to be honest with you, and I've used them in the past. I'll give you an example. Like, I had used Mint for savings and stuff in the past, but I think it got bought out by somebody else. And so Mint is not even available anymore. So it's like, you never know when these things are going to change. This is why I'm old school. I stick with Excel and I stick with a bank that actually track things for me. I also have QuickBooks. So QuickBooks is great. It put things in categories for you actually. And I think with Chase, Chase is amazing. You get a business account and it just kind of like categorize everything for you. And there's also a space where you can just type it in. What's this for? But if you just streamline it, it's a business account. It's all business. Everything's in category. You don't need to make it more for yourself. You don't need to pay for these apps when your bank have it available. So for me, if it's not broken, I'm not trying to fix it. So I haven't explored many apps that I absolutely like die hard for. And I truly can't say I've used something long enough that I would recommend to somebody. If you guys been using something for more than 5 years in a work, let me know. I have not. I like Excel. I like Chase for business and QuickBooks.
I like it. That's what I do with just keeping it simple with a spreadsheet as well.
Yeah.
And I know we talked about a lot of different things with being a traveling PA, but I'm curious, do you have any other types of advice for some of the listeners that are considering becoming a traveling PA, what they should research or what could help them and support them during this process as well?
Me, I am the support system, guys. But I
It's
mean,
true.
truly, truly, people have asked for this course for such a long time. And man, being in the game, I feel like I've been through every scenario that you can possibly think of. And that's why I'm like, you're 7, this is it. You've seen it all, you've done it all. You've you've been at a place where you were supposed to start a job next week and you never heard from the facilities or recruiters again. You was without a job for 6 months.
Wow.
You've seen it all. You went from job to job nonstop in 1 year because these contracts kept coming as dry seasons. The same way that they say save your money for 3 months. I never liked the 3 months thing. I don't think that's enough. I say 6 months. It's the same thing that you would do for if you want to travel. Make sure you have your expenses covered for at least 6 months, whether you're going to quit your job to go into it. And I don't advise you quit the job, but some people have done that. Like, I'm like, go ahead, go for it. If you feel a fire in your heart to do something, I encourage you to go for it. And some people have strategically planned for this. They saved their money and they went and did it. What I like about the space that we're in is that the students have a guide, and the students have so much that, unlike us, right? We didn't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel, but now they can. They can be like, oh, travel PA. Let me go ahead and hustle and bustle. They have a little bit of motivation. I think people are now a little bit motivated to get that experience, to really just know that this is really going to be short term because I'm going to go die hard into traveling with, can even do telehealth in between your traveling gigs. There's just too many options for people not to consider, to be honest with you. It just depends. What I will say is, there's a time and a place to be in a locum tenens or travel PA. If you're young, you don't have no responsibilities, I say do it. Do it before you start the family, or do it when you become an empty nester. It's always going to be there. And I've helped a lot of people transition, help people, find gigs for traveling in different phases of their career.
Awesome. I'm sure you would be an excellent resource for people considering being a traveling PA. Could you tell us a little bit more about your travel PA course, some of the content and information that will be covered in it?
Yes. Oh, I am so excited about this travel PA course. So, the travel PA course is going to educate you on travel PA, educate you on the industry and where it's at for PAs like ourselves. Also going to educate you on how to find and secure travel PA opportunities. Yes, you can go on Google. Yes, you can do the LinkedIn. You can do that, but I'm going to show you how to secure the right gig for yourself based on where you are. I'm going to show you how to negotiate like a pro. This is like invaluable, right? Because once I teach you how to negotiate for travel PA, you can take that skill anywhere else. We're going to show you how to get PA licenses and DEAs at no cost to you. Learn about the art of networking, building community with like-minded people. Learn how to be a winner. You learn from a team of experts. You learn how to maximize your risk. Listen, scared money ain't making no money. So you got to come with a winning mentality. Be ready to win, because that's what we're going to do in the course. And I'm going to show you how to make more, work less. So making about 200K plus in 6 to 9 months while working less. And most importantly, you're going to learn how to build wealth or generational wealth. That's what we're going to do in the course. For me, I have this tagline: unpack your passion to walk in your purpose. So I'm using this traveling PA pathway of mine to really invest in people, to invest in my colleagues, my peers, most importantly, the next generation of PAs. So, and when I say unpack, I spell it with lowercase un, capital PAC, and then the PA is capitalized passion. Unpack your passion to walk in your purpose. It just so happened I'm a PA. However, I think about I am unpacking all my passions within my PA profession so that I can walk in my purpose. I got in this because I'm compassionate about people. I'm passionate about what I do, helping people in medicine and different aspects of it. It can be in research or clinical, but there's so many things you can do in medicine. So this is how I am unpacking my passion and walking in my purpose, which means that I am investing in others, which I talk about, and building generational wealth.
Awesome. There's going to be so much valuable information in that course for any of the listeners that are on the fence about this. I highly encourage you to check out the information in the show notes. I'll include a lot of links in there. And before we wrap up, Fedna, I'm curious for you too, just a fun question. Besides my home state of Minnesota, where you started this traveling PA journey of yours, where else have you been that have been some of your favorite places that you visited?
Connecticut was one of my favorite places because of all the amazing people I met. I have lifetime friendships with all those people. San Francisco, I've been to San Francisco. And just to touch base on just taking a chance on yourself, I decided to go to California before any opportunities was available. I paid for my own license a year before. And this is where staying ready comes in handy. Stay ready so you ain't got to worry about being ready. So I knew when an opportunity came, I already got my license, so I can just apply myself. I knew I was going to get it, and I did. So I always wanted to live in San Francisco. I always wanted to experience the West Coast. Yes, specifically San Francisco. I don't know why. I just look like a cool city. So San Francisco was another one of my favorite places. I absolutely love it. Other places I live, and I love Minnesota. Minnesota was pretty great. Lived in South Dakota, came back to Jersey for another stint, and South Carolina. Man, where else did I go? I think those are the ones that I can remember for now.
Cool. And all those places are so different. So you're seeing a variety of places, meeting a variety of people, eating a variety of foods. So that sounds really fun.
Yes. And I know, of course, there are some other travel PAs, of course, and, you guys can go on LinkedIn, look for, use that as a resource too. You can always compare and contrast so that you can learn and make a decision. But I definitely think me being in the game for a while, knowing the difference between the travel PAs, travel NPs, travel RNs, travel physicians, I've seen it all. I've compared contracts. They are very different. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. They're extremely different, especially with our licenses being different as well. So I can definitely provide guidance and make sure that we level up in this. There's money out there. We just got to tap into it.
Awesome. And where can the listeners find you, Fedna, if they want to connect with you?
You guys can find me everywhere. No, but go ahead and find me at the Travelin PA_C on Instagram. Can find me on LinkedIn. Just go ahead, type in Fedna Morency. I also have a YouTube channel. Please go subscribe and comment on what you want me to talk about. Just put in the traveling PAC, should come up. And please visit my website where I have the freebies. Grab the ebook that I created for you guys, The Ultimate Guide to Being a Traveling PA. You can find it on my website at www.thetravelingpa.com. And that's with 2 L's for the website, www.thetravelingpa.com.
Very cool. I will include all that information in the show notes, all those links for everyone to easily find them and grab that free ebook as well, and to check out information about your course. But I want to say thank you so much, Fedna, for sharing all this great information today and sharing your inspiring story about how you are really trying to live in your purpose. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And of course, how can I forget about the course? The course is going to start October 15th, guys. Go on the website. You can register. It's right there when you go on the website. It's also on my Instagram, and I got to put it on LinkedIn. But please go ahead and register and check it out. And if you have any questions, please reach out. We'll also be doing a live tonight and many more lives before the course starts. So watch out on my Instagram for that.
Very cool. All right, Fedna, thanks so much. And thanks for the listeners for checking this out and for considering being a traveling PA.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you guys got some wisdom and knowledge from this that's going to help you level up in your career.
Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you decide to continue to join me along this journey of becoming a PA the FI way. Please take a moment to press the subscribe button on the platform that you are listening to this on. But more importantly, consider sharing with another current or future PA that could benefit from the information that we reviewed in this episode. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Until next time.